The second technique we are going to learn this week is called focalization, 聚焦. We have learned in Lesson 3 that Chinese sentences may have more than one verb, and they are equally important in a sentence. Therefore, we have this structure called the verbs in series in Chinese. Whereas in English sentence, you can only have one predicate, which is the main verb, and other verbs must be in the form of non-finite or infinitives or particles. For example, 我开车到医院去看一个病人. In this Chinese sentence, there are 4 verbs, 开, 去, 到, 看. They are equally important. If we translate it into English, we need to focalize the main verb, which is 开 in this sentence. I drove to the hospital to see a patient. See, only the main verb can be the predicate, and the other verbs in Chinese have to be changed into other forms. Later on in this book, we will learn conversion, which means we can convert Chinese verbs into nouns or prepositions, etc. So you see, that's the difference between English and Chinese, and the most important step when we do Chinese-English translation, we need to focalize the main verb. The second step, or the second aspect of focalization, is to find the implicit relationships in a Chinese sentence. For example, 打得赢就打，打不赢就走. Here in this Chinese sentence, you cannot find any conjunctions to explain the relationship between parts of the sentence. And this relationship is hidden in the Chinese sentence structure. 打得赢 is the condition. 打不赢 is another condition. Therefore, when we translate it into English, we need to use a conjunction to express the relationship clearly. For example, here we say, fight when you can win, move away when you cannot. Another example, 少壮不努力，老大徒伤悲. What kind of relationship do you think there is between these two parts of the sentence? 少壮不努力，老大徒伤悲. The first part is the condition of the second part. So, if one doesn't exert oneself in the youth, one will regret in his or her old age. Of course, you can find a similar sayings in English. A young idler, an old beggar. Another example, 道路是弯曲的，前途是光明的. Again, these two parts of the sentence are in parallel structure. 道路是弯曲的，前途是光明的. What kind of relationship does it imply? The first part is a concession. So, the future is bright, although the road ahead is tortuous. 跑了和尚跑不了庙. This is an old Chinese saying. In the relationship, the monk may run away, but the temple cannot. They need to use but to show the relationship of the two paths. 中文易学难精. 易学难精. Nan, nan, and yi are opposite in meaning. So we use the conjunction but again to show the opposite relationship. It is easy to learn Chinese, but it's difficult to attain perfection on it. Let's have a look at these two pairs of sentences. 留得青山在，不怕没柴烧. This is a Chinese saying. In the English translation is, as long as the green mountains are there, one should not worry about the firewood. As long as is used to show the implicit relationship in the Chinese sentence. 施恩勿忘，施恩勿记，受恩勿忘. If you confer a benefit, never remember it. If you receive one, remember it always. So if is used to show the relationship. 饮水思源. The Chinese is a idiom. 饮水思源. When one drinks water, one must not forget where it comes from. 社会实践是不断发展的，我们的知识也应该不断更新。See, these two paths are in parallel structure, but it indicates the reason. The first part indicates the reason. As social practice continues to develop, we should keep updating or renewing our knowledge. If we translate an English sentence into Chinese, we also need to keep this in mind. And sometimes we omit the conjunction. And this is also related to another technique we are going to learn called addition-omission. For example, we entered the railway station after crossing the river. While I was at the booking office buying a ticket, he saw to my luggage. The relationship between different parts of the sentence is very clear. If we translate this sentence into Chinese, we need to keep in mind that Chinese use paradoxes. We do not need so many conjunctions. The relationship sometimes is implicit. Therefore, when we translate this sentence, we can omit those conjunctions. 我们过了江，进了车站。我在售票厅买票，他忙着照看行李。You see, in this sentence, we also used the technique we learned in Lesson 4, word order rearrangement, because Chinese follows time sequence. Another example, the snow fell so fast that our footsteps were covered up in a few minutes. So that, of course, you can translate it into Chinese and to show the relationship clearly, but a typical way of Chinese expression is that we do it without these conjunctions. So this sentence can be translated into 雪下得很急，我们留下的脚印没有几分钟就被盖住了。So that is omitted. That's all for today. Focalization means focalizing the main verb and determining the underlying relationships when we do Chinese-English translation. Please also read study guide from 35 to 39. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Until next time, bye bye.